Good morning, everybody. Good to see you out, and welcome to those who are watching online today. Better put my glasses on if I'm okay. Announcements today. Obviously, we do have a monthly meeting for business after worship today, shortly after. Today also is Scout Sunday, and due to the pandemic, the Scouts have had some issues with some fundraising. We are taking a special offering today for that. I believe that Michelle will be giving the presentation today on the slideshow to give us an idea of what they're doing. Also, the walking group is meeting on Monday and Wednesdays, and that's at 9 o'clock? 9:30. You're encouraged to walk at your own pace, and there is fellowship afterwards with tea, coffee, and water. Everyone is welcome if you're available. Also, this Wednesday night, we have the Quaker Day planning meeting at 7 o'clock. Is that Zoom or is that in person?
In person.
In person, okay. So we'll be meeting here at 7 o'clock. And also choir practice at 7 on Thursday. Are there any other announcements this week? If not, why don't we all stand for the call to worship? Dear friends. Oh, sorry. Jumped the gun. My bad. There we go. Now we're ready. Okay, take two. Dear friends, since God so loved us, we also ought to love one another. No one has ever seen God, but if we love one another, God lives in us, and his love is made complete in us. If you'll remain standing, we'll sing the first three verses of They'll Know We Are Christians by Our Love. And now Michelle will give the Scout presentation.
This would be called improvisation. Good morning. I don't know if everybody knows that I am the chartered organization representative for our Cub Scouts, Pack 429. Our Scouts have been active for 8 years, correct. This would be the 9th year coming up. From our committee chairperson, an email she sent to us was, "We are also very grateful for the church. From the great communication and accessibility to offering to take a special donation for our PAC when we are in a hard financial year. We really couldn't ask for a better charter." And that was from Mindy Rowe. So, I was going to introduce our lovely Cubmaster, but I think he might have had something come up. So, I think we're going to go for the PowerPoint, Bill. And they will be saying their oath and things that they do during Cub Scout meetings.
This is the Scout law.
A Scout is trustworthy and loyal,
Helpful and friendly. Courteous, kind. Obedient and cheerful. Thrifty, brave. Clean and reverent.
Good job. All right. Thanks, guys. All right.
This is the Scout oath.
On my honor, I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country.
And obey the Scout law. To help other people at all times. Myself physically strong. Mentally awake. And morally straight.
All right. Good job.
So what is your favorite part about Cub Scouts?
The activities?
The activity. How about you, Marissa?
The trash cleaning?
Cleaning up the trash, all right? And how about you?
The project.
What's that?
The project.
The projects? Awesome. Cool. All right. And then can everybody just wave to the church and say, thank you for letting us meet here.
Thank you for letting us meet.
We appreciate all your help.
We appreciate all the help.
Awesome.
Thank you.
You guys, no, thank you. Thank you. So,
Thank you.
thank you to the church. Thank you to Friends Church for supporting the Cub Scouts over the years. And this has been a difficult year for all of us, so we appreciate all their support.
Do you have anything to add?
Oh, okay. Hey, why don't you just do this? This was your gig first. Are there any questions about what we do, or I'll try to help. I haven't been there as much because of COVID, but we have a blast. Yes, Miss.
How many kids are participating this year?
I believe we have 40. I think it's 40, yeah. And we are doing kind of a hybrid as school is. We are having some dens do virtual and some dens that are meeting here. So, wonderful question. So, I know that they really do appreciate it. I know that we're coming up to having a Scouting for Food event April 17th here at the church. So if you're willing to donate some canned foods, and then we are going to be redonating them to St. Mark's Food Pantry. And then I know the Pinewood Derby is May 1st. I want to say that everybody's invited to see that. It's kind of fun. And then March 20th, we'll have our blue and gold, of course, but we will have assigned seating. If you want to come, please let me know. Oh, blue and gold is when they're crossing over to Boy Scouts. Thank you. I needed your guidance. So glad you're here. Any other questions? Thank you so much for your support, because it is a wonderful, easy place for them to come, and they do a great job of cleaning up and making sure that it's sanitized before they leave. Brenda's really good about leaving them stuff to do that, so they are pretty good. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle, for taking that over today. And just another reminder, there are special envelopes for the scouts out in the foyer if you'd like to give them some offering. And now if the children will come up, I believe Gene Carter has the children's message this morning.
Any more kids want to come up? You're welcome. Okay. As a youngster, I was interested in scouting, but I was unable to participate due to circumstances. But my youngest son, his wife, and their 2 kids are very active in the scouting program up northwest of Chicago. And just recently, they were able to go ahead and do their Pinewood Derby event, partially at least, virtually. I'm not sure how that worked, but they did it. So you can find creative ways to do things. But today being Scout Sunday, there's a short sermon that comes from the Scout Oath. I don't think that you could add much to it or need to take anything out of it. It's a sermon in itself. Now, my hands don't work like they used to, but they usually, with the Cubs as 2, that makes it even harder for my old feeble hands. But they have some very nice things to aspire to in their oath. And I'm going to read it to you. You've already seen it once, and we'll do it again. On my honor, I will do my best to do my duty to God and my country, and to obey the Scout law, to help other people at all times, to keep myself physically strong, mentally awake, and morally straight. I don't think much else needs to be said. Thank you for being here. If you can be a scout, be one. If you can't be a scout, be like one.
Thank you, Gene. And we'll now have some special music with Marilyn and Kathy. Amazing Grace.
Good morning. At this time, we have an opportunity to share our joys and concerns, and so I would invite you to share this morning how you've seen God at work this week, or concerns or joys that you've had.
This morning's scripture reading will be the 46th Psalm. God is our refuge and strength, and ever-present help in trouble. Therefore we will not fear, though the earth gave way, and the mountains fall into the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam, and the mountains quake with their surging. There is a river whose streams make glad the city of God, the holy place where the Most High dwells. God is within her. She will not fall. God will help her at break of day. Nations are in uproar. Kingdoms fall. He lifts his voice. The earth melts. The Lord Almighty is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress. Come and see what the Lord has done, the desolations he has brought on the earth. He makes wars cease to the ends of the earth. He breaks the bow and shatters the spear. He burns the shields with fire. He says, "Be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations. I will be exalted in the earth. The Lord Almighty is with us. The God of Jacob is our fortress."
Thank you, Jay. A lot of kids dream of building a tree house or a fort in the backyard, and I know our son always did. And after we moved from Knightstown to Greenfield, he was that age when he was beginning to think about that more. And after we moved, Tom built a swing set, and it had a platform with a little awning. And so we thought, well, there's a tree house. That's good. But Chris never believed that was a real tree house. He wanted a real tree house. And Tom would take our kids to the library when they were growing up frequently, and they would check out different books and all. And on many occasions, Chris would go through different phases, but one phase was books on tree houses. And so his favorite book was called Private, Parents Keep Out: How to Build a Tree House and 40 Other Great Things. And then, a matter of fact, one time when they went to the library, sells books that they're not keeping anymore, or people donate books, and there was that book for sale for 50 cents, and he was thrilled. We still have that book. And that book had everything you need to know: how to build a tree fort, how to build stilts or a sailboat or an underground hut, a teepee, a fort on the side of the hill, and a slingshot. Those are some of the things that the book gave specific details and the materials you need to make it and how to build them. Tree houses made of lumber, and underground shelters made of grass in the book, and ropes and sticks, forts of lumber, rocks, rope, even snow forts on those cold, snowy days. Perhaps you had a fort when you were a child growing up, or played in a friend's tree house. We usually think of forts or tree houses as a place of safety or security, places to go for protection. During biblical times, the time of Jesus' birth, Israel was under the Roman Empire. Herod the Great was in control of the land. He was a Roman ruler in charge of the area around Jerusalem and Israel. And Herod built a row of fortresses in the surrounding area as an escape route. You see, when Herod was ruler of Jerusalem and Israel, Mark Antony ruled Rome, and Cleopatra ruled Egypt. And so Herod always walked a tightrope between the two, Egypt and Rome, because Mark Antony and Cleopatra were romantically involved. Herod was afraid if Mark Antony and Cleopatra got mad at him, or if they broke up, they might attack him on their way to attack each other. Their little country right in the middle. So he built several fortresses as an escape route to hide or take refuge in, to flee for safety. He named the fort nearest Jerusalem Masada. It's enormous. It's what's often referred to as having 3 levels of hanging palaces because there's 3 levels of cliffs that it's built on. And one thing later on, after Herod's time actually, Masada is famous for is when the Jerusalem Jewish freedom fighters were fighting, they took refuge at Masada, and they actually held off the Roman army for 9 years because they refused to worship other gods. The interesting thing about Herod naming his fortress near Jerusalem Masada is that Masada is a Hebrew word for fortress. And Herod spoke Latin and Greek, but he gave his fortress a Hebrew name. In the Old Testament, hundreds of years before Jesus or Herod's time, in the Old Testament, writers talked about God as Masada, God as a fortress. This is particularly true in the Psalms. We find David often talked about God being like a fortress for him. In Psalm 18 says, I love you, O Lord, my strength. The Lord is my rock, my fortress, and my deliverer. My God, my rock in whom I take refuge, my shield and the horn of my salvation, my stronghold. For David and other biblical writers, God was a place of safety, a place of refuge from trouble, place of refuge from their enemies, place of protection and strength. David knew about places of safety and refuge. When Saul asked him to organize the 12 Hebrew tribes into one nation, the people loved David more than Saul. And Saul was very jealous, and he tried to kill David. And so David ran for life and hid in the rocks and fortresses. And when David was faced with the loss of a child, David cried out to God. And when he was faced with the threat of an enemy, he asked God for strength and courage. And when he was faced with illness, he turned to God for healing. And when he sinned and needed forgiveness, he sought God's forgiveness. In Psalm 17:1 says, Protect me, O God, for in you I take refuge. And in Psalm 71, In you, O Lord, I have taken refuge. Let me never be put to shame. Rescue me and deliver me in your righteousness. Turn your ear to me and save me, for you are my rock and my fortress. God was David's fortress. And God can be a place of refuge, a fortress for us as well, a place to turn to when we face life's difficulties, when we're afraid, when we're facing the loss of a loved one, or forced to deal with illness. Psalm 46 that Jay read begins with, God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore we will not fear, though the earth should change or the mountains shake in the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam, though the mountains tremble with its tumult. When everything gets turned upside down or falls apart, God is our refuge and strength, present when we are in trouble. We can take great comfort in this. We have a safe place to go, a fortress, because as the psalmist says, God is in our midst. In thinking this week about Herod's fortresses, about Masada, I've been thinking about times when we seek shelter or refuge. I had this nagging feeling that there had to be something more, and I just sat with that, and then it hit me. Herod had his fortresses kind of, if you would say, in his back pocket, kind of as a backup plan, as an escape route. The fortresses weren't a part of his everyday life, and it made me think in terms of my spiritual life. Life gets busy. I sometimes rely on myself instead of relying on God. It's easy to do. It's easy to get distracted with things in life. It's easy to be like Herod, who kept his fortresses in his back pocket as a backup plan. I could keep God in my back pocket as my backup plan too, to call on God only when things get rough or I need help. And God certainly wants to be there for us and to see us through those times, and will be there with us in our midst, our refuge. But there's something more that God invites us into. God invites us to be in relationship with Him, to take time away from our busyness, time away from our distractions, to talk with and to listen to Him. And towards the end of Psalm 46, the psalmist says to be still and know that I am God. God invites us to be still and to be with Him. Herod's fortress in Jerusalem, Masada, would have offered him physical protection and could take care of his immediate needs for safety. But Herod's fortress could not provide guidance or comfort or friendship or forgiveness. But that's the great thing about God and our relationship with God, is that God does provide us with that friendship, with comfort, guidance, forgiveness. Brandon Dennis, the camp manager at Quaker Haven, one time said that approximately 15,000 people go up to Quaker Haven every summer for camp, conferences, retreats, or weddings. And Brandon said, Quaker Haven is here so people can get away from their everyday work and schedules and distractions, so they can focus on their relationship with God and their relationship with Jesus and other people. Quaker Haven's a great refuge. It's one of my favorite places. So where is a refuge for you to get away from your regular routine? A place to relax and enjoy God's grace. Where is that place of refuge for you to talk with God and to sort things out when things are confusing or things get rough? Backup plans are probably a good idea and very practical. But in our relationship with God, Jesus invites us into something more. How do we get to know a friend better? By spending time together. And we don't have to carry worries or struggles on our own. Jesus said, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Come to me, I will give you something more. Let's stand together and sing the bond of love, and then I'll close with a benediction.